Nigerian worker suffers from corruption in every facet of his life, except he doesn't wake up one day. From the time he wakes up and go to bed, he encounters corruption in the various forms and I mean in various manners. Even if we cannot send people to jail because they have stolen a lot of money, we can deny them the enjoyment of the process of crime.
Hello viewers, and welcome to Transparency Files, a weekly production of the Public Enlightenment and Education Department of ICPC. I am your host, Hawasani Garba. Today's edition is a special one, focusing on corruption and Nigerian workers, the fight for a better future. We will explore how corruption impacts Nigerian workers and what can be done to combat it. Also on the program today, we bring you an insightful edition of Know Your Act, updates from our state offices, and much more. But first, let's join Joy Aja as she brings us the latest anti-corruption stories.
Hello viewers, welcome to this segment on anti-corruption stories. My name is Joy Aja. The chairman of ICPC, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu SAN, has urged African nations to adopt strategic diplomacy in their engagements with the global north to effectively combat the challenges of illicit financial flows and facilitate the repatriation of stolen assets. Dr. Aliyu made this call during the inaugural meeting of the African Asset Recovery Practitioners Forum, AARP Forum, which was recently held in Nairobi, Kenya. He currently serves as chairman of the forum's interim steering committee. Speaking at the event, Dr. Aliyu noted that Africa has endured centuries of economic exploitation, from the transatlantic slave trade through colonialism to the modern scourge of IFFs. According to him, a collective African response anchored on strategic diplomacy, stronger legal frameworks, and increased accountability from international financial institutions is needed. Dr. Aliyu noted that another critical concern raised was the issue of relooting recovered assets, stressing that weak governance structures and inadequate accountability mechanisms in some African states often result in recovered funds being misappropriated, thereby eroding public trust and stalling further recovery efforts. The Nairobi meeting concluded with a clear mandate to operationalize the AARP Forum without delay. Among the next steps are regional capacity building workshops co-hosted by the ICPC, the creation of a real-time digital asset tracing platform, and diplomatic engagements with global institutions including the United Nations to push for more equitable recovery treaties. In another development, ICPC, through its training and research arm, the Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria, ACAN, held a 3-day capacity building workshop on anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing. The workshop, which held at the ICPC headquarters in Abuja, was designed to equip law enforcement officers with the skills and knowledge needed to effectively combat financial crimes, including money laundering and the financing of terrorism. Delivering the opening remarks on behalf of the Secretary to the Commission, Mr. Clifford Okparudu, Mr. Shehu Yahaya FSI welcomed participants and emphasized the strategic importance of the training in bolstering Nigeria's efforts against financial crimes. Mr. Yahaya, the Commission's Director of Operations, said the initiative was part of the Commission's continued commitment to implementing the Financial Action Task Force recommendations and facilitating Nigeria's removal from the grey list. That'll be all on this segment. Transparency Files continues with Hawa. Please stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
How work?
Oh, correct, Oga.
What is it that you are doing?
Oga, they come out the part now. Make we go sell for.
Oga, na correct kuza be this o. Oga Titus and him boys them. They do am. They will come out the original parts, sell them, make plenty kusa. No wonder our customers bring the generator back to our workshop because they bad. And not because of stuff. Now because they overuse the generator. Plus say NEPA no they give them electricity. Before I open my eye, Makachuku look at my talk in the heaven. Replace this original generator parts back inside this generator of my customer. In short, before we do front jump. One. Four jump. 1, 2, 1. Stealing of generator parts or changing of original parts to a fake one. That is the corruption. Not in my country. Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. You are watching Transparency Files. Corruption remains one of Nigeria's biggest challenges, significantly affecting workers. From unpaid salaries to poor working conditions, its impact is devastating. Additionally, bribery and nepotism limit job opportunities for qualified candidates. Embezzlement and mismanagement also fuel inflation, making life harder for everyday citizens. We spoke with a cross-section of Nigerian workers who shared their thoughts on these issues. Let's hear from them.
There are many ways corruption has been affecting Nigerians generally, not even the workers. But particularly from what you've just said, look at the workers in the area of remuneration and welfare. There's a lot of things that's going on within the workers, civil servants, either federal, state level, or at the grassroots. There's whereby stable electricity could not provide for people within 8 hours. It's affecting the civil servant because of corruption. Imagine they shed money for fuel to run something or the other, and it's affecting all the equipment that's supposed to be provided for the civil servant to make their work easily. There's somebody saving those money, so corruption is affecting them one way or the other. So it is time for both the top. We should fight the battle from the top down, not from the down up. So let's fight the battle from the top down by doing the right thing against corruption.
One of the ways corruption has been affecting them is meritocracy is not really being embraced. Find out that we don't get the best hands don't get employed, don't get the opportunity to exhibit their talent in product development. So a lot of Nigerians don't have this sense of purpose and belonging in terms of job and employment. So I intend to correct that by employing the best hands. It's not favoritism. It's not based on I know you or you know me kind of culture. I try to embrace the culture of getting the best hands to work, so that there will be fairness and transparency in my dealings with workers. And secondly, poor working condition. A lot of workers today are not productive because of because the enabling environment is not there. And most of this happens especially in the government sector, where you find out that this enabling environment, there are actually funds to make the environment conducive for workers to work, but these funds have been embezzled and they are not being allocated properly. So you find out that there's dilapidated buildings, there's the right equipment are not there for workers to work with.
Since we have established that corruption has a profound effect on Nigerian workers, how can they contribute to eradicating it? Some key actions that can be taken to achieve results include reporting corruption via whistleblower platforms, saying no to bribery and unethical practices. Unions must push for open financial accountability, voting for honest leaders, and supporting transparency initiatives, amongst others. Our guests will discuss this and more.
Majority of Nigerians are actually workers because they have to earn a living, and to earn a living they have to get involved in one form of employment or the other. And if there's anything that has actually been a major obstacle to their contribution to the economy and equally to the transformation of the Nigerian economy, it has been the challenge of corruption. This is something they encounter every day. Talk about the farmers who need to move their produce, talk about the transporters, who have to transport these things, and they encounter corruption on the road on a daily basis. I talk about even the artisans. In the course of their daily work, in one form or the other, they encounter corruption because they have to move from one place to the other, they are moving materials, or they are, just mention it. Then when they need to engage with the farmer sector, in terms of licensing, in terms of permits, every day they encounter corruption. And then if you talk about those in the informal sector, I mean, you discover that even when people say that the farmer sector, or whether public or private, is corrupt, the issue is that those who are engaged in mega corruption are not just the rank and file workers. They themselves are victims. Because let us look at it. As someone who works, you have people who are dependent. Because of corruption, resources are diverted away from construction of road or maintenance of roads. Money meant for education is diverted. So therefore, people cannot go to public schools. And the private schools are simply exorbitant. And all this burden is on the neck of the average worker. They can't afford basic they can't access health care. You have to resort to quacks and all the rest. So, in head or tail, the Nigerian worker suffers from corruption in every facet of his life, except he doesn't wake up one day. From the time he wakes up and go to bed, he encounters corruption in the various forms and in various manners to access basic public services. Let us talk about electricity, for example. You are an artisan, you are a welder, you need power. To get meter that ideally it should be given to you for free, you have to pay through your nose. Even at that, there is no guarantee you get it, because those who are supposed to issue you meter prefer they come and give you what they call crazy bill in the name of estimated billing. That's a form of corruption that hampers our people. The same people, if they try to cut corners, they will be arrested again, that they are cutting corners. And these are people who are even ready to do what the Lord asks them to do, but they cannot. So in every way, the Nigerian worker is confronted with corruption, either in the formal sector or the informal sector. Talk about the other aspect of it. Now, in terms of even at the personal level, we have talked about how people cannot, because a lack of service delivery, because the resources are diverted, they can't have access to basic services. Because of that, that affects the standard of living, affects our, life expectancy, affects the number of out-of-school children we have, which then makes them prone to being recruited by nefarious elements to either to become bandits, to become terrorists, or to even become kidnappers. So, no, the effect of corruption is so permissive in our society. It permeates every aspect of our life. And then let's look at the formal sector. Now you have a situation where some people say the public service is corrupt. It is corrupt, because one way or the other, those who hold public office either browbeat the ordinary worker to aid and abet corruption. Because if you don't do it, I mean, you are going to be victimized. We have even seen how whistleblowers were being victimized because they said the truth, or they refused to participate or partake in corrupt schemes. So it is something that is all-encompassing. It affects every aspect of our national life. And except we find to do something about corruption, the chances that we attain, we'll be able to actualize our potentials, because they keep telling us Nigeria has a lot of potentials. The question is, between 1960 and now, about 60 years plus, how come we have not been able to actualize that same potentials? How come those who were looking at us, the Asian tigers and cubs that were behind us, how come today they have overtaken us? They are already the second world. We have regressed from being the third world. We are already now in the fourth world. Because if you look at every indices of life, take 1960 as a baseline, take every one of them, is it access to education, access to it, life expectancy, just name any one of them. You realize that we have regressed from where we were in 1960, far before 1960. So, and this is all due to corruption. And except something is done about it, there's no way we can actualize our best possible potentials. First thing I think we need to do is that we must look at our jurisprudence. There has been this push for non-conviction based asset forfeiture. That even if we cannot send people to jail because they have stolen a lot of money, we can deny them the enjoyment of the process of crime. And that is what is being done in developed countries. They don't tell you not to do the crime, but even if they can't get you to jail, they will ensure you don't enjoy the process of crime. And I think that's the number one justice that we can do to society. It is good to send people to jail for corruption, but the biggest justice for society is that people who have committed the crime of corruption, they should not be seen to be enjoying it. Because what's the point in sending a man to jail for 10 years? After 10 years, he comes out, and he start to, enjoy that process of that crime. So I think that is one important thing we need to do. Number two, and that's where the workers here become important, their own role in this. The workers, we need to put in place a robust whistleblower regime policy. Not even policy, now a law. First, that will protect whistleblowers, that can give them, if you go to other crimes, people go as far as even changing the identity of whistleblowers. You also have to encourage people to blow the whistle on wrongdoings. So I think we need a robust whistleblower protection law that will make it possible for workers to be able to blow the whistle, because they are affected. And I'm sure many of them have an interest in blowing the whistle, but there's no protection for them. Like I said earlier on, we have seen people blow the whistle, but because of adequate protection, they became victims, they were victimized. So for me, a non-conviction based asset forfeiture regime that can deny those who have committed the crime of corruption enjoyment of the privilege of corruption, and a robust whistleblowers protection law is a major way for us to go, especially to encourage the workers themselves, who more often than not knew the schemes and how it is perpetrated, for them to be able to blow the whistle.
Welcome to our special segment, Know Your Act. How well do you understand the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000, the enabling law of the ICPC? Remember, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Today, a lawyer from our Legal Services Department will explain what the ICPC Act says about bribery and its consequences.
The Act, the ICPC Act, makes several provisions covering bribery. For example, if you look at the ICPC Act 2000, there are provisions in sections 8, sections 9, 10, 17, 18, 21, 22, and 23, all prohibiting bribery. It's either one giving bribe to another person or one accepting bribe, and one being an agent giving bribe to another. For example, in sections 8, 9, 10, the offenses created when you give bribe to influence the decision of maybe a public officer, or when you accept bribe as a public officer to influence your decision, or when as an agent you give bribe either as a public officer or any other person. All those offenses prescribed in those sections, if one is found guilty of them after prosecution, they could be sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. Then we also have the offense created in section 17, gratification or bribery by an agent. And an agent is defined when someone who has an interest, has a principal, and then he's being used to either help facilitate bribery in one way or the other. And for such offenses, an individual could be prosecuted for and sentenced to imprisonment. We have also the section that relates to bribery in relation to auctions or giving assistance in regard to contracts. If one is investigated and found guilty or found wanting of these offenses, he could be sentenced to either 5 years, 3 years, or 2 years imprisonment, as the case may be. But for me, the ultimate in bribery discussions under the Act is Section 24, which many people don't know, Section 23 rather, which many people don't know about. That section prohibits your knowing of bribe, accepting bribe, or receiving bribe, and not reporting it. So it means that if you're on your own and someone offers you bribe, or you work in an office and you see that someone is accepting bribe, you are under obligation, according to that provision of the law, to report that bribery transaction. If you do not, and it is established that you heard, you knew, or you were offered bribe and you did not, then you could be prosecuted and be sentenced to a term of prison, about 2 years or thereabouts.
ICPC is working not just at the headquarters. Now let's join Onolapo Abodunde for updates from our state offices.
A report from Osun State reveals that the resident anti-corruption commissioner, Prince Yusuf Olatunji, led a team to pay a courtesy visit to the staff and management of Central Bank of Nigeria, Osogbo branch, to foster collaboration and strengthen institutional relationships between the two agencies. He emphasized the importance of interagency cooperation in the fight against corruption, particularly within the financial sector. The delegation was received by the branch controller, Mrs. Adeleke A.O., who assured the delegation of the CBN's readiness to collaborate with the Commission to ensure compliance with anti-corruption policies and regulations. Coming from Sokoto State, ICPC has sworn in new executives of the Students Anti-Corruption Vanguard at Kebbi State University of Science and Technology, Aleru. The oath of allegiance was administered by Barrister Sulaiman Ahmad of Legal Services Department. The resident anti-corruption commissioner, Mr. Shintema Binga, represented by Mr. Yusuf Kabiru, charged the new excos on their roles, emphasizing the importance of integrity, adherence to the operation manual, and being role models within and outside the university. And from Rivers State, ICPC's Tamara Ebebi of the Public Enlightenment and Education Department has sensitized core members of the NYSC Anti-Corruption CDS Group, Port Harcourt, on the need to be advocates of honesty in the fight against corruption. She encouraged the core members to exemplify the message they preach and be persons of integrity to make the country a better place. The Custom Area Controller of Kano State, Dalhatu Abubakar, paid a courtesy visit to Kano State Office recently. He commended the ICPC's stride and assures his readiness to partner with the Commission to prevent illicit financial flows and other corrupt activities in the state. The delegation was received by the resident anti-corruption commissioner, Barrister Ahmad Mohammed Wahda, who stated that the war against illicit financial flows requires a collective approach, hence the need to consciously cultivate the culture of working together to harness collective expertise and drive meaningful change.
Corruption thrives when people remain silent. Nigerian workers have the power to demand better conditions if they speak up and act against corruption. That's our program for today. Join us every Friday at 6:30 p.m. on NTA Network and NTA International. You can also watch past editions on our YouTube page at ICPC Nigeria. See you again next week. I am Hawasani Garba saying Bye for now.